Welcome to my channel. Welcome to my new subscribers. I am glad you're here. This is just going to be a short whip and chat. I haven't been able to put up videos because they've been doing construction and the noise was just outrageous. Okay. No, I don't do that, I don't use it. So today I thought I would talk about animals that I have owned, stories about animals that I have owned. And I will start with my present dog, which she is a she's got Jack Russell, Chihuahua, and Bulldog, so she's got this overbite. Some of my subscribers already know. For my new subscribers, if you want to know, just check my list. I have a story about when I was homeless. That's when I actually got her. People were driving around trying to get rid of these pups. They really didn't care who they gave them to, just to get rid of them. And I took one. And she wasn't in the best shape. She had worms so bad that when she went to the bathroom, you just saw worms more than you did anything else. She was very lethargic. She was full of fleas. I dewormed her. Oh, I can't even see the numbers on these things. Okay, that's one. So this has to be two. I gave her a flea bath. Her name is Bridget. We know that she was born in April. So we just put April 1st as her birthday. She's always had an old soul. Even at 6 weeks, she had her old soul. She's not one of these pups that she's real rambunctious, playful. She'll play with us. She's very submissive. She's afraid of other dogs. She has to get them known. And most dogs, when they roughhouse and play, she don't play that. What she likes to do is to have the dog she's playing with chase her. We had somebody living here had a pet bull. They used to play together. And pet bull would chase her, she'd run. Never did catch her. She's quick. That she's got the short body and these long legs that when she lays down, she looks like she's folded in half. When we first moved here, I hadn't had her shots yet, and apparently there was povo in the ground. and she got it. The vet wanted to explain to us that it's not the povo itself, but because it makes them so sick and they can't hold nothing down, it's a dehydration and lack of stuff that ends up killing them, and all they could do is to support her as she went through it. Okay. If that's all the two, they should give me a lot. Yeah. This looks like it's extra, because I don't see where two goes anywhere else. And they wanted $1,000 to admit her and $1,000 to treat her. We had $300 that we were willing to put down, but she didn't want to do the payment thing. So we took her home, and we thought she would just kind of die at home. But somebody loaned me like $100, and I'm into birds. I went to a bird store, got a syringe that you normally feed birds with, and I got some up to the 99-cent store, got some electrolytes that you give babies, and all night long I would give her a few drops every half hour. I did this for days. She survived it. What pissed me off is that the vet had the gall to call me to find out how she was doing. I cussed him out. I says, why are you calling me to find out? You were more interested in the money than you were in the welfare of the dog, so don't call me now. She started to disappear. Our gate out here was low enough that she could scoot under. And, she was trained. She's fully trained. And one of her commands is, go home. And we'd be taking her to the store. We'd take her off leash. We only put the leash when we got into the parking lot of the store just for her safety. And I guess she scooted out underneath it and she was missing. She went across the street is what happened, and somebody saw her. They called her. They were afraid she'd go out the street, get hit or whatever. Took her home. She spent the night sleeping with their pit bull. I had put it, we couldn't find her. More than likely, had he not picked her up, she would have came home on her own. But I put an ad in. When you're on limited income, see, when she got spayed, it cost me $10 because all I had to do, because I'm on disability, and they had a program at the pound, the shelter, that if you're if you're on disability or something, you got an animal, you want to get it fixed, you might want to check this out. Because I don't know if it's everywhere, but I know it was at the one I went to. And they charged me $10 to get her spayed. Plus, she got her final shot, because at this point she was for her rabies and stuff, her rabies shots, which was cool. And they put a little tattoo, which I didn't like, on her belly when I asked why. He says, well, if she ever comes into the shelter, that tells us that she has been spayed. Her daily routine is, because where I live, and that's another thing, if you go back far enough in my videos, I do have a video of the tour of the place. All the rooms are rented out. And she goes what I call visiting. She knows all the tenants. They know her. And she goes visiting. She goes see them, visit them, and she makes her little rounds, and then she'll come home, back to the room. She can't get out the door now because the way when he put up, he did something, the landlord, and she can no longer scoot underneath it. But even when they're working and the gate's wide open, that scared her so bad she refuses to leave the property.
Chris, I don't know, come here.
Shh! And she's a good old dog now. I had a dog, she's passive, and I'm not used to passive dogs. I've pretty much had more aggressive dogs. I had this mixed breed, Heinz 57 large dog. Got her as a pup. Her name was Buttons. No, you can't be on my channel, sweetie. They'll turn off the comments.
Come on, let's go wash your mouth. Come on.
Go do what your grandma says, Christopher. My grandma. Oh, don't look so sad face. I love you.
Let's ride the bike.
Look, he's got paint all over his hands. You been painting? Is that why you got it on your hands and face?
You can show Linda your painting on Linda's channel. Come on.
That I can show. I just can't show him.
Yeah.
Because YouTube will turn off the comments.
Let's go get your painting. Come on. Come on.
They're going to get a painting. I'm going to show it to you. It's done by a little 3-year-old, Christopher.
Probably not all the way dry yet.
Oh, it's not? Well, when I do another whip of chat, I'll put it on there. Or maybe I'll take the camera to the room. Yeah, that's what I'll do. He's been here since he was 9 months old. His grandma lives here. Momentarily, because of the virus, she's not working. And that's what gets me, and that's the only thing I'm going to say about that is the so-called sinless. I don't know of one person who's gotten it. I think that one, when they first did it, Senator said that has trickled down. A lot of people will not get it that should be getting it. I think he's right. Four. Okay. Have you noticed on special drill DPs and stuff, they always give you more than you need, which is a good thing. Anyways, Buttons when we lived in Minot, Nevada, we did see it because she grew up with these kids, and if they barked, they'd tell her to be quiet. And she was accepted. But when we moved to Gads, it was a whole different story. When we took her for walks, we actually would take her out in the desert. Don't get me wrong, if she was alive today and you want her to pet her, all I have to say, Buttons, let you pet him. And she would tolerate you petting her because she knew what I would do to her if she would ever do anything. You know, she never bit any bit, but we recognized she was aggressive. There was one incident, my then husband and I, we had to go out of town, and Geisha's grandson would go over, she'd drive him over and feed him. Well, apparently she got loose in the yard, and she cornered the kid actually, and she did try to bite him, but she was growling at him. Oh Lord, oh Lord. And Geisha went, grabbed her, put her back on her chain. I won't own a vicious dog. I was actually going to put her down. I got talked out of it. Apparently she got out, somebody took a pipe to her, and that's what had her upset. Funny thing is, I went to watch the boy, and we get excited when he come because she got to know him. So she was really just not vicious but aggressive. You know, like I said, if she was still alive today and you wanted to pet her, I'd have to tell her. But if I kept bringing you around and she got to know you, she would get excited and you could rob us blind. She did not know what a leash was. We always took her out in the desert. Mostly, we could walk her around town, and we did. And she'd stay right, she would heel. And she would try to bite somebody if they would stop and talk to us, but she would tolerate them petting her. And some people, this is why I hate, and it's no offense if you got a rot, but I hate them with a passion. To me, a good rot is a dead rot. They got her name was Angel. No, she did not live up to her name. She attracted me, my then husband, in our cars because she was constantly getting loose. And for the time she was 6 weeks old, she'd come into our yard, go back to play with Buttons. So the day it happened, I didn't think anything of it. Oh, she's going back there to play Buttons. Well, no, she attacked Buttons. Now, I went out there and I kicked that dog as hard as I could kick her. If I had a gun, I'd have just shot her ass. If I'd have thought about it, I'd have took my gun out with me and shot her. But I kicked her, and she let go momentarily, and the chains were wrapped, and I went to get them loose. She immediately went back at her, and I would hit her. Somebody come running up with a can of soda, put a few drops. It only had a few drops, but it seemed to be enough to get her to stop. I get them untangled. I go to take her inside the house. Now, had I known she was going to die, because Button was trying to get loose at that point, because Button was wanting to fight, I think she might have been able to take the dog since she wasn't in that disadvantage. we had to wait to payday. I mean, it looked like she was eating her. She had a hole in her. And when we did, we took her to the vet. We told him we got $500. He was what he said it was he'd have to cut that dead tissue away, stitch her up, I don't remember all what. He didn't want to do that. How did I know? Okay, the backstory is there was a vet who actually worked for the Humane Society, and he had a van, and he would go through different small towns, and he would fix people's dogs, simple surgeries. If it was bad, he'd take them back to his office. He came back 3 days later, and I didn't know, and I will get to that. Being that she was suffering, and I didn't want her to suffer, we had her put down. 3 days later, when her normal vet came, I went to tell him just for his records, and he says, oh no, he says, I don't advertise it because I won't do it for shots. But when it comes, he says, I can't believe the vet would make arrangements with you, because he says, in a case like that, where it's an emergency like that, he says, I'm going to consider the life of the dog, of saving the dog, worry about getting my money later. I would have made payment arrangements. And it's true, because I'm not a cat person. I don't really care for them. The cats I had were working cats. A lot of times when Humane Society got in feral cats, they'd call me up and I'd go get them because they knew what I wanted them for. You have horses and you got hay down there, you got to keep the mouse, and you need cats that actually hunt. I would take any cat but white ones, because Kyle likes the white ones. And every barn down there had a hole big enough for the cats to get through, not big enough for the coyotes. The Roods had goats. They would give them goat milk. I made a mistake one time. A cat got injured down there, and that vet was in. It was his eyes. Well, no, let me backtrack, because I want to talk to you about that vet. We had a feral cat down there. Its eyes was messed up. He was in town, and I just went to ask if he knew what it was. He says, well, I need to see that cat. I says, well, we can't, because it's between paydays. He says, I'll bill you. Go get that cat, bring it to me immediately. And I did. It turned out to be minor. He said the legs, he just sprayed it, it'd heal up on its own. Gave us medicine to put in the cat's eyes. But he said he didn't know if the feet would ever fully recover, but it would not be a problem. Took it home, kept the cat for 10 days. I wasn't going to take the cat back down there. That cat was miserable. It whined. It wanted back down to the corrals. So I finally took it down there, and I did regret it. I mean, he was a black cat. He turned up missing. But you know, there. And then I got this dogs. I love Dobermans. Absolutely love Dobermans. And I was still married to my first husband, living in Gabbs, Nevada. Population 300 if you count all the dogs and the cats and the horses. Maybe even the rats. And I bought her, had her shipped, and the day I went to pick her up, I took her out and let her sit in the front seat. And she kept her distance from me, but halfway down there, I guess she decided I was okay, and went scooting up. And Dobermans, they're stubborn, they, believe me, they can be hard to train. They got a mind of their own, but they can be trained. And she was fully trained, not just by verbal, by hand commands. To have her sit, and if I went like this, she like this, she would sit. If I went like this, she laid. Those are the signals I taught her. If I put her in a stayed position, I could not get her out of that from staying unless I gave her the command. Unfortunately, when I was training her, and because she was little, I was bending down on my knees, and that's what she took as a signal. So when I put her in one, I'd have to bend down to get her out of it. I intended to show her, but she was 2 weeks, so I was training her to use CD. I was kind of lied to by the breeder. Her father was a champion, basically. According to what AKC told me, the dog had been shown was one lousy point for getting its championship. I did find out from another breeder who showed that the person's dogs were basically, she only had one decent dog, that was a male, and he couldn't be shown anymore because he had broken his leg. So that's why she did it. She did offer to take the dog back and give me my money back, but hey, you know, I was attached to her then. And the one thing I noticed, I mean, she backed down to a Chihuahua. Honest to God. And I called a trainer one time that trained Dobies, and he laughed at me and he says, well, let me tell you something. He says, I make a very good living off of people with Dobermans tell me the same thing what you're telling me, and it's a surprise I can get them to be aggressive. He says, lady, your dog has no reason to be aggressive. Given the right circumstances, she would be aggressive. I think he was right. Only time I thought she would is we were taken to a walk and we were talking to some people and they had a kid, and she went to take the kid's hand, and when she did, my Dobie went on immediate alert, put her nose to investigate, and then relaxed. I think if she would have spanked that child, I think that Dobie would have bit her. But they must have been right because I left my husband. I just couldn't take his drunken butt no more. And I left him. And I, of course, took my dog with me. Get to my mother's house, put her in the backyard. She breaks out of the backyard. She plants herself in the driveway. And when my mother's runner tried to come in the house, up the driveway, he said that she got aggressive, growled at him, showed him his teeth. He'd back off, she'd stop, he'd take another step forward, she'd do it again. He says, I believed her, and he called. Once she figured he was supposed to be there, she was fine. 6. What number is this one? See, I don't like 7. And where is, there's 7. Let's see. Ooh. Now, I had a German Shepherd that saved me when I was about 13 years old. I had found a German Shepherd. It was kind of aggressive. He either liked you or didn't like you. If he didn't like you, as long as you didn't try to pet it, you were fine. But my mother had called the pound, and I was mad because I was wanting to keep it. And she went out they didn't come that day, they didn't make it. They went out. They called us, tell us they were coming home. We left the door unlocked. And this guy, high on drugs, had broke into this woman's house, had a gun, wouldn't tell her what he wanted, which was obvious. He wanted her to commit rape. She jumped out the window and went running down the street. Meantime, he throws the gun into this yard, and he decided to come into our house. I heard the dog bark, and I said, "Oh, who's barking?" And I went to go back to sleep, but when he said bark, bark, I knew that wasn't the dog. I immediately woke up. He blocked the doorway with me and my sister in the room, doing obvious what he wanted. My sister took off running. She broke through my brother and sister, they hid. So I says, well, so can I? He chased me through the house, and how our house was, you go in the entryway, to the left was the formal dining room, then there was a kitchen, and then there was a dining room, living room, and then there was a hallway, and that's where you could actually make a complete circle. And that's what he did. Well, when he was doing that, the German Shepherd came in there, bit him on and dug his teeth in the cuff of his legs. And that's what slowed him down. He had turned around and kicked the dog. But that dog would not let go. But when I saw him kick the dog, and I stopped dead in my tracks, I hit him and I said, "You don't kick my dog." He just stood there. So I took off running again. Meantime,